The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Well, the schools he was going to at that time, he had to be registered as an Indonesian citizen, and he was being registered even in a Catholic school as a Muslim because he was taking Islamic instruction, which he also lied about in 2008 running for president, until we got the actual records out of that school. You know, but the lies Barack Obama tells about his past are legion. So in other words, here you got this new Subud character servicing from Indonesia with Fuddy, who is the fix-it girl who goes in and deals with sanitizing the Obama birth certificate when, you know, through Perkins Coie, the White House releases a computer copy and says, here's the real deal, without showing the original documents. It's all fishy. And when you want to get original documents, like, could we please see Mr. Obama's passports, you find out that they were sanitized by none other than the private intelligence firm of John Brennan, who just happens to be head of the CIA right now, and another Islamicist. Yeah. It's bizarre. You couldn't write this
you
stuff.
couldn't, you know,
you couldn't make this stuff up.
No, last night, and he said a couple of things that were really over the top, but last night, when that was, you know, an opening remarks, and I thought, wow, and then, you know, he went into these other things that are clearly, you know, impossible to believe, like the United States, everyone's investing in the United States, and so those things are provably not to be true. But what I thought was interesting, and just in, like I said, chasing this story now, and you've done it for a decade, and I think I've been involved for pushing 9 years of it, and I thought, that's a twist. And
well, and it's another repeated twist of many he's done. Yeah. In other words, you can find, as I say on the record, Barack Obama claiming he was born in Kenya.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
You know, his publicist had this out, advertising his books for years before he became a real public figure. And when he was coming up in politics in Chicago, he frequently said he was from Kenya, that he was, you know, and he was raised in Indonesia. You know, this Barack Obama his background is like shifting sands. I really come to the conclusion that there's direct CIA and intelligence intervention in the creation of the Barack Obama character, because it's the only explanation for the disinformation that packs his background and the inability to get supporting documentary evidence, including the grades that he got.
Yeah, it's interesting. And be like I always make a joke, but because I need to get a life. But now Donald Trump has jumped back into the fray. Have you seen this, Jerry?
I begin to see little bits and pieces. Well, see, you know, when this Fuddy death occurred, the whole issue was so bizarre that this one woman was the only one dead in the airplane, and she played a role in the Obama cover-up of the birth certificate issue when they tried to bury this issue. And now I think enough people are onto, within a very short period of time, maybe as he's leaving office, you're going to see stories starting appearing like appeared recently in Newsweek on the Internet. And so, you know, was the country delusional to put into the highest office in the land someone who has this little experience and we knew this little about? I mean, that's the problem. And the lies continue even on policy issues. The Washington Post is out correcting his facts last night on 8 million jobs created, saying
all
it was 3 million, and
sure. It's all
still 1 million behind when he came into office. I mean, you know, I mean, listening to the speech on and on, you know, the federal government needs to give Americans a raise. The idea that more debt is going to be actually investment. I mean, there's so much wrong with this speech.
The one that I spent an hour on after the speech was over was when he said, in the first time over a decade, business leaders around the world have declared China no longer the number one place to invest. America is. And I found his source last night, and his source is a consulting firm called A.T. Kearney. And it's a projection. It's not, like I said, I was trying to, and when you read and you do, well, you know, when you do, it's like guys saying the Broncos will beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks will beat the Broncos. Well, this A.T. Kearney guy says, well, it's going to happen.
Well, and I found John Kerry, you know, in the testimony to the Senate when he was trying to convince everybody to go to war against Syria, quoting a graduate student.
Oh, yeah,
If
well,
she were a PhD, and we expose that
sure.
at WND.
If you look at Forbes, and everybody knows, I mean, hardly anyone knows A.T. Kearney, but everybody knows Forbes. Forbes annual report, and I looked at this last night, the best country to do business in or with is Ireland. The United States is ranked 14th in Forbes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know A.T. Kearney very well. A.T. Kearney is a big and reputable consulting firm, like McKinsey. They're
I know McKinsey. I know Milken. I know Ernst and Young. I know
they do many projections.
This is what this is
of business future scenarios.
This is expected.
Yeah.
And that's like saying the Broncos will beat the Seahawks. You got to play the game.
Well, in fact, the speech last night was, I think Charles Krauthammer was right in characterizing it as small ball. The objectives stated were all, we're down to wanting to raise the minimum wage. What happened to the grandiose second inaugural speech?
Yeah.
The fundamental transformation of America. I think, Americans are beginning to realize that this fundamental transformation of America meant what I said it did when I wrote Abomination. It's a Saul Alinsky socialist, radical left transformation of the country. And when you really get into what it means, and the amount of debt it's going to create,
Amazing.
Deficit spending, the amount of unemployment, and the other thing that last night was, I've been writing about on WND, there's two things. One is this Trans-Pacific partnership that the Obama administration wants to jam through Congress, and the Democrats are resisting it hard, saying it's going to be a job killer. The unions have been writing a letter. There's a phone call today for news people I've been invited to at 2 o'clock in Washington. One of the major pollsters is going to release a new study on the State of the Union addressing the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And I think this new study, bipartisan study, is going to just trash the idea, as the Democrats are right now. I'm calling it the New World Order of the North American Union. It basically, Obama and Kerry have ditched NAFTA and gone to the next level without letting anybody know about it. The second thing that upset me about the speech that I covered in WND was that this whole grab for your IRAs. What's this about my IRAs? I've been warning people that, regimes that get this desperate on deficit spending, and now the Fed is easing off buying debt. They call this tapering of the quantitative easing. And here Barack Obama's eyeing getting people to put their IRAs into Treasury bills.
My IRA.
My IRA. Well, no, I'm sorry. It's not his. It's my IRA.
My IRA.
It's
that's
yours.
It's called my IRA. Yeah, right.
Yeah, my IRA. He was going to try to confiscate everybody's IRAs as T-bills.
I was reading that projection, and somebody said, well, they're going to. And I said, no, they can't. And I said, Peter, I'm reading this inside of this. I don't know why I'm reading Asian history right now, but I'm pulled into it. And one of the themes that emerges in the middle 40s in America is it can't happen here.
Right.
It can't happen here. And in fact, it's happening here.
Well, I have a new book on Hunting Hitler, as you know. We talked about it on the show. I've always said if Hitler knew that he could have the head of the EU and the EU central bank being run by Germany, plus a trans-Pacific and transatlantic partnership where the multinational corporations trumped sovereignty and, ruled Europe and the United States, plus the NSA, Gestapo could never read every email or listen to every, of course there weren't emails, or listen to every telephone conversation. Obama, if Hitler had said this, you could have this, Mr. Hitler, he'd sign up in a minute. I mean, National Socialism was a leftist philosophy. Hitler introduced the first universal health care, and it was a combination between a corporate state as opposed to the communists wanted to eliminate private property.
It was blood and earth and,
largely, many of these ideas, we've moved, I think you could have a debate whether Obama was really a Alinsky communist or more of a national socialist.
Or the greatest opportunist we have seen in forever. Unfortunately, Doctor, I'm right on the line right now.
That's it, Peter. but he had a nice tie last night. Those nice pastels.
Oh,
I
man.
think he got that blue one maybe from John Kerry. John favors the pastel.
It was just, but I thought about this, and I thought about now the story, and
Well, it's all developing, and I think finally the Emperor Has No Clothes, which is something I've been writing about since 2008, is now becoming apparent to the American people.
thanks, Jerry. We'll talk this week. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
John.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.